feeling I'm not moving.
One, two. All right, full house, we like it. All right, full house, we like it. We're testing levels. Mic check in the building. Mic check. DJ Celestine Bloomfield is sitting the hips over here. Testing 1, 2.
I was just wondering if we were going to eat it. Okay. Or how I need to be here.
Okay, there I go.
Yeah.
You want to be loud enough so people outside can hear us.
I didn't know.
We'll be back.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right, so it's more.
Okay, in case you don't know it, welcome. I tried to find on something that had the word sweat in it. Because you know, a proper lady does not sweat, she only glows. Perspires. I was kind of sweating trying to get here on time, running through red lights, making sure the police weren't near me. You didn't see me? You don't know who I am. Okay, I gotta let my sound go. Welcome. I really hate to turn that off because, you know, it brings back memories. I think I was in grad school when that song came out. I got to do the math. I could be lying. At any rate, we want to welcome you. As soon as I figure out how to turn my music off. I do my best chair dancing this way.
Oh, yay.
Okay, that was easy. Listen, welcome. I got one of my students in the house. You know, I love it when my students come back and see me. And they say, yup, she was just like that in school. I try to act like I didn't do that, but that's not true. I'm trying to get my notes. Welcome. Tonight's topic is sweat or perspiration or just glow. Okay? I would like to welcome you on behalf of Storytelling Arts of Indiana and Freetown Village. And we want to thank Chatham Tap for having us here. Ooh, that is good. Now, in case you didn't know it, this must be a true story. Or at least we can't find anyone else to refute your words. We'll let it stand. If your nose don't grow during the telling, it's all right. But we want you to know that your story should be no longer than 5 minutes. Now, you can tell longer than that. Well, we will judge you for that, okay? Just want you to know. I'm going to draw names from my blue basket, my sea blue basket. And I know what happens. Some of you are sitting there saying, oh, I don't have a story to tell. Ah! What happens when one person tells a story, somebody else gets their memory job, and they think of a story that, oh, I could tell that. Now let me encourage you anymore. There are monetary prizes. You will get moolah if you tell a story and win first, second, or third place. Well, we'll talk about that later. Right now, on your table, you have these yellow survey forms. I want you to complete them before the evening is over, and we'll collect them because we'll be looking for you to pay for our next session. Just kidding, just kidding. We want to keep in touch with the people who come because when we do new exciting things, we want you to be on our list. And turn the TV off so there's no distraction. Now listen, the person who wins, we're going to do a drawing with the survey. And if you win the survey, you'll be there when we tell ghost stories at the Washington Park East Cemetery on October 15th. Now, right now, what we're doing is free. But if you are in the mind to make a donation, you can text 44321 with SAI in the body of the text and make a donation. No donation is too large or too small. And I want you to know that the donations will be split between Storytelling Arts of Indiana and Freetown Village. Now, sweat story. I don't have a sweat story because, as you know, I just glow. And my determination has been never to work hard enough where you gotta sweat. Okay? Like my auntie said, she won't even raise flowers because she saw when the good Lord saw fit to take that hoe out of her hand, she didn't see any reason why she would put it in there again. Now, I have been hot. I have been Dallas, Texas hot, where you knew if you put an egg on the sidewalk, that sucker would fry. It's almost that here, but not yet. So I want you to think deep down in your mind about a sweat story. It could be boob sweat. It could be brow sweat. It could be feet sweat. But right now, I'm reaching into this magic little basket, and I'm pulling out the first teller's name. It's a blank. Let's find it out. Oh, we're in for a good one. Because I recognize the name on this slip. I need you to put your hands together and welcome Noel Bewley to the stage. Welcome, Noel. Good to see you.
Whoops. Can you hear me? Okay. I retired as an elementary gym teacher, and I use the word gym teacher because when I first taught, they said, "You're going to gym." And after they learned that, I saw one of my kids in the grocery store, and she ran up and hugged me around the legs and said, "Mom, this is Jim. I see him every week." And so that stuck with me, and I'm going to stick with it. 41 years as a gym teacher, 35 years without air conditioning, 25 years without any windows in the gym. So that's kind of beside the point, except we're working on sweat, and it was no problem in those gyms. I did not like the fact that Indiana gymnasiums only have lines for basketball. That's the only thing. If you walk into an elementary school gym, there's nothing but the center circle, the foul lanes, the outside, nothing but lanes for basketball. First graders don't need lines for basketball. They need to play in small groups. Third graders need to be in small groups. So I decided I had to come up with a way to mark lines on the floor. And painting wasn't going to work. So I took masking tape. And I came into the gym an hour and a half early, and I laid down masking tape on the floor. And I did it by sticking the tape on the floor, pulling the roller back, and then sliding my feet or a frisbee across it so it really stuck. A month later, those lines were still there, but the custodian was unhappy. He said, "Now I have to redo the floor because you stuck masking tape on it and left it for a month." And then I decided that doesn't work. So I got painter's tape, which was worse because As soon as I put it down, kids came behind me, rolled it up in a ball, and threw it at each other. It comes off too easy. And then one August before school started, I decided, after seeing my dad polish his shoes with one of those liquid applicators, I thought, there's the solution, shoe polish. So I came in another hour and a half early. I marked off the floor 20 squares by 20 squares, so I had 8 courts so they could play balloon volleyball or any kind of crazy game they wanted in a small court with a few people. Got it marked, looked great, just thought that was the greatest thing in the world. You could see all the lines, all this black shoe polish, perfectly dried, nothing going on, but it's August and we have no windows and it's 95 out, and my 3rd grade comes in after class, not after class but after lunch, and they are playing this tag game where there's only 4 people in a game, and they are ripping around inside that court, diving on the floor, sliding the base, sliding in feet first, sliding in head first, and the class is over and you just look at these kids dripping with sweat. And then as they lined up for their teacher, I looked at some of them and they're going, "What's on your shorts? What's on your t-shirt?" And there was black on t-shirts, shorts, little skirts that they wore. And I had to go to the teacher and say, "Tell the parents, if it doesn't come out in the wash, I'm paying for it, I'll take care of it." I had 5 parents come in to talk to me and they said, it came out in the wash. So I was saved. But if you ever really need a way to get shoe polish off of the floor, a white t-shirt with sweat works perfectly. Thank you.
You know, I look at these shiny new buildings with air conditioning. Even when I started working in Lawrence Township, they didn't have air conditioning. It was an old building that they had closed, had let the finance center use it. And because the student population had grown so much, back in 1986, they reopened Indian Creek Elementary School. Now, I had a great time at Indian Creek Elementary School, but they decided to put air conditioning in strategic places, like the principal's office. But when we got word, and we had it in the library, finally I had to talk a good game because they met in the library. So anytime you had to have a meeting, no matter what you had planned after school, you got kicked out because it had air conditioning. So let's not take air conditioning for granted. And then the air conditioner would go out. And then there was a season when they decided that all the air conditioning and heating would be handled from central office. So you'd have to call somebody to have the temperature lowered or raised in your room. That's another story. Or the year they decided to turn the air conditioning off in the library over the summer for the books. Oh, the smells. Anyway, I could smell that gym class and all, so thank you very much for that story. Now, I know right now some of you are thinking, oh, I got a story about sweat. Don't forget to come here and tell it to us. We can hear it. I know as the next person tells a story that you will think of one that you want to tell. Like the year I gave my father the ultimatum. I said, Dad, you can buy me a car, a new stereo, or finish the fence in the backyard. Now, my father had no decorating sense whatsoever. He was a good brick mason and contractor, but he had gone and salvaged all the bricks from a car dealership that the tornado had blown all the concrete block wall down, brought them to our backyard and just left them there. So in order for him to do that, he needed an assistant, and I was it. Now, I can tuck point, I can make you up some mud, and I can clean off a block from cement. Now, it was July, the month I'm going out that night with my friends celebrating my birthday. Well, I want you to know, I worked hard under that July sun in the heat because there was no tree in the backyard. And my father, as soon as I cleaned off the blocks, he would stack them up with the mud. And we finally got that fence made on the south side of the house. But my plans for partying that night were gone. I went inside and took a shower with my hot, sweaty body, but I could barely move to boogaloo that night. So I want you to know that is the only sweat story I have in my repertoire. But now I've just pulled out a name. Now I've got a lot of blanks in here, so if you want me to pass these blank slips down, you don't even have to fill it out. You just raise your hand when that story pops in your head. But right now, Jen Clee is going to come up and tell us.
Jen Clee! Thank you. Thank you.
Can I grab anything else for you?
Good, thank you.
Lip Sync 97. A quarter of a century later, this simple phrase still has the power to send me into a cold sweat. The year was 1997. I was a junior at Bishop Chatard High School, go Trojans. And the school that spring had a lip sync contest for the students. My friends and I thought it'd be fun to participate. So we put together our act, we choreographed the whole thing. And for some reason we thought it'd be a good idea to dress in 80s attire. And then the day of the lip sync arrived and we were feeling pretty good about things. It started out well. We ran out into the gym in front of the whole school and the first notes started and we danced and mouthed the words to the song Walk Like an Egyptian. And then everyone clapped and it could have ended really well, but then the second song started. You see, my friends and I thought it'd be a good idea to do a medley of songs, like 24 minutes of songs. And by song 4, Aisha by ABC, the crowd had stopped clapping. And then by song 5, Love Fool by the Cardigans, they started booing. Yeah, just a handful of people at first, and then suddenly the entire gym is booing us. A friend of mine, Sarah Bates, ran to the back of the gym, buried her head in her hands, and got into a fetal position. Another friend of mine, Adriana Melnick, runs over to the DJs and begs them to turn off the music, and they refused. We had to finish. So the boos continued and grow louder. A really cool senior named John Crockett took off his skull cap and threw it at us. And we just inched farther and farther back in the gym until we are pressed against the back wall. Finally, the last song ends, and we run from the gym and hide in the locker room bathrooms until everyone else is dismissed for the day. My brother Matt was a freshman at the time, and he came home from football practice livid. He thanked me for ruining his social life. Our one saving grace was that this happened to be the Friday before prom. Shockingly, my friends and I didn't have dates. So we figured everyone else would go to prom, have a great time, and come Monday morning, that's what they would be talking about instead of our debacle of a lip sync contest. But on Monday morning, the principal called an all-school emergency meeting. And he got in front of the whole school, got on the microphone and said, a group of girls worked really hard at the lip sync contest on Friday, and you all owe them an apology.
Oh no.
Will those girls please stand up to be recognized. 10 years after what my friends and I will forever refer to as Lip Sync 97, I was employed to teach at Bishop Chatard High School. And there were many things I was asked to do beyond my basic teaching responsibilities, and I always said yes. Compete against the freshman quarterback in a football throwing contest at the pep rally? Yes. Drive a group of seniors to Kentucky for a Habitat for Humanity mission trip and dig trenches with them all week? Of course. Wrestle another theology teacher wearing a blow-up sumo wrestler costume? It would be stupid not to. And then, inevitably, poetically came the day that I was asked to participate in a teacher lip sync performance, to which I said, over my dead, sweaty body.
That's hilarious. So did any of the teachers remember you from that?
No.
Okay,
There
good,
was
good,
someone who broke up with me after he found out I was.
He didn't deserve you. Anybody thought of any stories you want to tell yet? Because my basket's kind of light, and I got all the time in the world. I mean, I just think the first courses are coming out. So listen, we have a new member of Storytelling Arts, and we're so glad to have her. Our new volunteer and program coordinator is Samantha Power. Samantha, come on, say a few words. And it doesn't have to be about sweat. Let me put her on the spot. Welcome.
Hello. I did not plan on saying anything tonight, but I'm Samantha. I'm really excited to thank you. I am really excited to join Storytelling Arts of Indiana. I have a background in education, so woo! And recently left the classroom to stay home with my daughter and needed some adult interaction, so here I am. Yeah. I don't have a story tonight, but next time I'll come prepared.
All right. I usually don't put people on the spot, but I'm giving people an opportunity to think about a sweat story. It could be about a cold sweat. It could be any kind of sweat. But I want you to know that next month we'll be back here in the same location. And the theme next month on August 17th is Toast. Toasts. Toast. I don't know if that's French toast. You know what I'm going for. Okay. Don't forget to fill out those yellow surveys because a good prize can be had. But in the meantime, anybody think of a new story, need a blank slip of paper you need to fill out? Don't be shy now, because our next teller is Shannon Sampson.
Oh, yay.
Pandemic started March 2020. February 2020, we heard these rumblings of, oh my gosh, there's some kind of virus in China that will stay there and it won't affect us at all, and everything will be fine. And of course that did not happen. February 2020, I was out there hustling because I was not gainfully employed. I had a job where I was supposed to host this murder mystery show in the Arts Garden at Circle Center Mall. And then I got this other gig where I was supposed to take pictures of an event in Fountain Square. And I needed the money. So I was like, yeah, I can do both, it's fine. So I hurried up and finished with the Arts Garden one, and it went well. And I went down the elevator to the parking garage because they were paying for parking. I wasn't going to, but that was, part of the deal. And I saw my car, I could see it when I got off the elevator, and there was a man and woman just talking in the basement of the parking garage downtown, the one attached to Circle Center Mall. And I thought it was odd. I'm like, who catches up in a parking garage, right? But I didn't think anything of it. I get to my car, and because it was February, I had a bag of Valentine's Day candy that I got at this event, and I opened my car and I threw it in there, and then I realized I forgot my clipboard. And I love that clipboard, and I need it all the time, right? So I was like, okay, I'll just run up there and get it. So I ran and got it, came back down, elevator door opens, and the man and woman, the woman's gone, but the man is getting in my car. Oh no. And I was like, okay, I mean, all I could see was his head coming around to the driver door, and then I saw him open it, and then I saw him get in. I was like, do I go back in the elevator? Do I call the cops? Do I scream? I don't know what to do. So I sat there, and I thought to myself, I need that car because I need to go to my other gig because I need money, and you are not going to take my car. And so, for all of its failings, Facebook once in a while will give you some advice that you can use. And one of them was, that panic button is on your key fob for a reason. So I just was like, are you gonna do it? And I'm like, I guess I have no other choice. So I hit it, and it went off, and then time stopped. I was like, are you just gonna keep stealing my car? So I just stood there. And what, of course, seemed like forever, the guy comes out, and now we're staring at each other, and it's just me and him. And I look, and he has a screwdriver in his hand. And in my mind, when I relive it, it was like a dance, because we were like just almost like circling each other and like a, but it wasn't so dramatic, but in my mind when I think about it, it was he with the screwdriver, me with my fear and flop sweat, right? And then it was just like, and then I'm thinking, do I take a picture of him? Do I say, hey, mister, I don't appreciate that. We did just silence. And then we did our circle dance, and then he left. And then I got in my car, and he had ransacked it, so I don't know if he was going to steal. I mean, I guess he was, given enough time, he would have stolen it. But at first he was, ransacking it. My Valentine's Day candy was there, so don't worry. And then I left, and I went to go pay, and the guy was on the phone, and I was like, can you, the guy that takes your money, he's like, oh, hold on, we got a situation. And I was like, okay, so there's this guy, and I told him the whole story, and he's like, okay, and then he called the police. And then I just went to my other gig and sat down, and I was like, and it's always like later on when you're like, oh my God, that was serious. And then I was just still sweating and shaking, and anyone who's talking to me, I'm like, I'm not listening, I'm still in my mind about this and how it could have gone wrong in so many ways. But I guess in summation, use that key fob. That's what it's for. It's always going off when you don't need it, but anytime it goes off, it's like when my dog barks at the mailman. I'm like, thank you, because if we ever need it, you'll let me know. Same with my key fob. When it accidentally goes off, I'm like, it's okay, you saved my life.
You're supposed to keep your key fob not like in the key basket in the front of the house or in the hallway or on a hook. You're supposed to keep them next to your bedside, so if you hear somebody breaking in, you could actually press the button and set it off, So that was good. It's like, does anybody else have another sweat story? I love it. Just on time. Come on up.
Okay.
Tell me your name, Allison.
My name's Allison. I came from soccer, so apologies for what you just smelled.
But I'm just gonna take this off real quick. Okay, all right. Whew. Hi. Okay, so we're here to talk about sweat. It's like kind of high. I'm short. All right. So 5 years ago, I became a fitness instructor at the YMCA. And a couple months in, I got an email and it said, "Who wants to be a Les Mills body attack instructor?" And I said, "Me." Let me tell you what body attack is. So similar to like Zumba or Zumba or like jazzercise, right? Where like there's a beat and you're going to music, right? Okay, so that's body attack, but like totally on crack because you're doing burpees and push-ups and jumping jacks really, really fast for 45 minutes to an hour. Totally my jam, clearly. So I sign up and I was like, oh, by signing up, this means in order to get certified, you have to do a whole weekend of body attack. And I was like, that sounds painful, let's do that. So I show up and I'm like with some of my friends and we're getting certified. And I clearly did not read the email. I just got so excited and signed up and didn't realize that there's day one, you learn all the tracks, and day two, you perform one of the tracks. So when I show up with my friends, I realize everyone there is super type A and super fit, like me. And so they're like super intense. And so, like I said, I didn't read the email, so I was going to a live concert that night. I saw The Killers and Cold War Kids, great show, highly recommend. But definitely did not practice the body attack track. And I was like, it's fine. Maybe just like by osmosis, I'll just get it. So in front of all the type A super fit people, you know, we're all sweating it out together, and failed that track real hard. It was just, it was bad. It wasn't great. Wasn't a fan. But I was like, it's fine. I just have to record myself. It's a 5-minute track. I'll memorize it, turn it in, I'll pass. It'll be great. Yeah, also on second day, they're like, so this is like part 1 to get certified. Part 2 is you do a whole hour. You do 11 tracks. And they have to be perfectly choreographed. The timing has to be perfectly right. You have to give options because not everyone can do burpees, and body attack is for everyone. And that's the moment that I remember, oh yeah, Allison, as a theater kid, you did like theater camp every summer, and there was always coordinated dance. And remember, you suck at that. You're terrible at it. What are you doing? Why did you sign up for this? But it's fine. So I'm practicing. I'm practicing for 2 months. I am sweating, I am sore, I'm fit, so fit. 2 months, all the time. I'm at the gym all the time. And my friends pass, flying colors, no big deal. So it's my turn. The Y calls me up and they're like, hey Allison, remember when we paid for that certification? You know, it'd be great if you started teaching those classes so they get certified. I was like, got it, cool. So I record myself. You have to have 5 friends there, or just, you know, enemies, whatever. I, of course, invited a cute boy. Do it and get it back, and they're like, you didn't pass. I'm type A, guys. I overdo everything. I pass things. Like, that's just me. I'm like, failure? I live a very privileged life. Like, what is this? Me? Fail? So I just had to pick my ego up off the floor, tell the cute guy that I didn't pass, and you can come to my class again. And I do it again, and I pass. Super exciting, and I'm so glad that I didn't give up on myself. I just sweat it out, and I made it happen. But that was 5 years ago, and now when I teach body attack, the members always tell me that I am the hardest body attack instructor, and that's how I know all the sweat was worth it.
Anybody else think of another story? Listen, those yellow surveys I'm going to empty my basket so that if you complete those yellow surveys, then I will know who wins tickets to Ghost Stories. You know, one thing, ladies. You guys want to yellow forms? Anybody need pens? Oh, that's good. Perfect. We can just share one. Okay, come on, pens. Ladies, I am embarrassed by you. Because we need to talk about sweat. I have visions of my mother at the time of her life in the kitchen frying hamburgers, in shorts, her bra, and a paper towel just stuck to her chest. Now these are things we need to pass on to the youngins. So they know when this happens, what's going on. What doctor to see, which doctor not to believe. You know what I'm saying? Now this is some important sweat that we haven't talked about. Anybody? Did that shake somebody's memory? Now I got a friend who thinks she's young. And when something goes wrong, she calls me and asks me questions. Now I myself went through an artificial menopause decades ago, so I don't know what to tell her. I said, girl, my cousin used to take black cohosh, and that helped her with her hot flashes. My mother used to walk outside in the snow, barefoot. So I know there's somebody in this room who has not told the story of this true sweat. Y'all don't need to be embarrassed or nothing. I've already said. Nobody? All right, you come on up, girl. Tell us your name.
Debbie. And yes, I'm very short, and she's got to adjust everything down a few feet. Yeah.
A few feet.
A few feet. At least a few feet. Okay, this is very short. I was a professional dancer. I danced in a ballet company, and then I danced for 10 years with Dance Kaleidoscope. I went to Butler. I taught at Butler University for several years. And then by the time I was in my mid-40s, my body went, no more. Everything hurt. But what I remember about sweat was when I was when I was a kid, daily ballet classes. I didn't know sweat. Ballet dancers don't sweat. They glow. Right, okay. And I believed that fable for many, many years. Until I was, I don't know, a teenager. I think it was before I became a professional dancer. And I'm dancing in my class, and this sweat starts to drip down my forehead, and I'm going, what is that? and I thought it was this badge of courage. It was sweat. How wonderful. But, you know, and then after I had done all my professional work and was teaching down the street at Lily Hall, there was this fable about Martha Graham, who said Martha Graham was the premier modern dance heroine of all times, which I don't agree with, but anyway. And she said, dancers don't sweat, they glow. And I'm going, that is such BS. I've never That is just, and I can't tell you the number of times when I was dancing on stage and it was a full concert and I had like a 5-minute break and I'm just covered in sweat. I can't change my costume because I'm soaking wet. And I think of that statement from Martha Graham. And I go, That was glowing.
Anybody else glowing in this room? Nobody? Don't be spurred.
Time's getting up.
I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, well, you're not going to regret that decision.
Oh dear.
Well, I haven't always been the woman that you see before you today, which is a very proud and queer person. In a previous life, I was actually engaged to a man that I was going to marry. My mom had bought 300 invitations because, being an only child, I was her one chance, her only chance to get back any of the stuff that she has paid for over the last 25 years of going to bridal showers, wedding showers, baby showers, showers.
It don't work that way.
That was her. Whatever. So anyway, now this guy and I, we were living together, and that day of alleged matrimonial bliss kept getting closer and closer and closer. And one morning, I woke up in an absolute panic. Yes, that was my first experience ever with a cold sweat. My heart was just about to jump out of my chest. I was like, oh my God, girl, what the hell are you trying to do? There's a voice in your head. It's your mother. You need to conform. You need to conform. That's not how we do things. You need to... But once I calmed down, I called her and I said, look, we need to have a conversation. Because I just cannot do this. I'm really sorry you spent that money on them 300 invitations, but it ain't gonna happen, girlfriend. I love you. I love you. Please continue to love me. And we all moved on.
Y'all just don't know why I'm laughing so hard.
Yeah, because you've met my mother.
Yeah, I met both of those people in that story.
Yes.
Okay, listen. I'm sorry that I was supposed to stand up for that. Anybody else got a sweating story? Listen. That was funny. That was hilarious. I'm sorry. It's probably funnier to me because I know everybody. Anybody got any more yellow slips? Because I'm about to draw some names out in a little bit. Okay, sweat. You know, secret is made for women. But there comes a time when your secret runs out. No matter how many times you apply, the secret is not working. So now my favorite deodorant is Men's Men. Deodorant for men. It works well. That little flowery stuff stopped doing its job midday. And sometimes you gotta know when to stop the sweat. Okay? You sure nobody back there at that last table has a sweat story? All right now.
What about this first table?
Oh, that's right. I only had one person in this front table who told a story, and she's working.
Exactly.
People, no sweat stories. Okay, let's think about
This is like my worst nightmare is getting up in front of
Oh no, do this, girl. This is
But
fabulous.
but the whole night you're talking about sweat, and it brought back so many memories to me.
Your name?
Oh, I'm Jane. I'm related to Jennifer. She's my daughter. I was thinking about when I was a child, how hot it always was. And anyone who's older, I'm like 66, would understand that because air conditioning just really wasn't a thing. Maybe more wealthier families had it, but we certainly did not. But I lived in a small house, and I had 5 brothers and 1 sister. And we lived in the kids' bedroom was in the attic. And my dad had made it into just a big open area, and he had made it sectioned off an area for the girls, and the rest of it was for the boys. But he had a big fan in a utility room downstairs, and on hot summer nights, they turn on that attic fan, and it would pull some air through the little window at the end of each end of the attic. So I grew up being hot. But I never knew how hot I could be until I moved to St. Louis. And Jim and I had just gotten married, and he was, we moved out there for him to go to school. And so, and Jennifer was born in 1980. Well, the summer of 1980, she was born in April, and in July of 1980 it was a major heat wave, like the hottest it had ever been in St. Louis. If anyone's ever been to St. Louis, you know it's down in a valley, so it's extremely humid. Now, we were students, we lived in a flat. If you don't know what a flat is, it's a brick building that's just shaped like a square. We were on the top floor of this brick building with no air conditioning, and the heat would just, the walls are plaster and outside's brick, and it just holds the heat. We had been back to Indianapolis to visit family and had returned to the worst heat wave St. Louis had ever had. It's like in the 100 degrees. What was unfortunate is my little brother came with us, and my other siblings had come out at different times, and we had really showed them a good time doing all kinds of really fun stuff to see the arch and go to things. And he thought he was in for a good time. It was so hot we could do nothing. You know, the car was too hot, like the steering wheel was so hot you couldn't drive. And my husband was working. Well, at that time you couldn't get a credit card either. Being newlyweds, we didn't have any money. He was wearing his corduroy pants to work because he had 2 pairs, a pair of tan ones and a pair of blue ones. And so he was wearing those to work every day. Well, a real miracle was about the end of the week, I got a credit card from Penny's. I still love Penny's because they had faith in us. Anyway, I took my little brother out, and we went to Penny's, and we bought 2 new pairs of light pants. But I just have to say that was the hottest I've ever been in my life. And I love air conditioning now.
You know, one set of my grandparents lived in Canton, Mississippi, and nobody wanted to go down there. Because, you know, when you go visit relatives, no matter how good or fancy their houses are, you just really want your own hotel room. So one year, all the kids got together and bought their parents an air conditioner, window air conditioner. But I'll tell you, if you went down there and it was 95 degrees outside, they dared you to turn it on. So you still would be gasping for air, wondering how you could sneak away politely and not come back until you checked out of your hotel room. I remember that. Anybody else got a sweat? Come on down. You see how this works?
Josh, who's next?
Tell them your name.
My name is Anna, and I have a date story for you guys. Sorry, Mom. So I live in Los Angeles, and this was probably 9 years ago, right about the time when I first moved out, and I was so excited because, you know, dating dudes in Los Angeles, man, they're all gonna have boats, and it's great. They don't. Most of them with their parents, and they have a screenplay that they want you to read. That's awful. But this guy, I had seen him on one of the apps, and he was 6'7", and I was getting ready to move, and I was like, that's a lot cheaper than a moving company. So I go on this date with him, and we go to Jimmy John's, which I know, right? It's like, but we didn't have Jimmy John's in LA at that time. The closest one was in Las Vegas. It was what I had lived on in college, so I was very excited. And I should have known that when I tasted that stale French baguette at that Jimmy John's, that this night was just not going to go well. But I couldn't afford moving companies. And this guy was really tall, and he seemed into the whole redhead thing, so I was like, yeah. I really don't remember his name. It was something with a G. So, like, in my mind, I have remembered him as Garg for gargantuan. That's not it. But he invited me after the Jimmy John's stale bread date. He was like, well, do you want to come back to my place? And he was like, you know, it's in Santa Monica. And I was like, okay, Santa Monica, coastal, cool, like, that's great. Well, Santa Monica apartments, they were all built kind of pre-air conditioning, and they all have this idea, like, we're in Santa Monica, we have the sea breeze, so we don't need air conditioning. So this man's apartment was super hot, but what really made me sweat was from floor to ceiling, even the windows were covered up, most of the doors were already covered up. It was like a hoarder's Star Wars, I think, museum. Like, just all these books and models. He had, like, the Star Wars encyclopedia sets in 2 different languages. And I, like, was kind of, like, looking around, and he was like, you made that Princess Leia joke, so I, like, knew you would be into it. And I was like, I do not remember this joke. It was certainly not intentional. I don't know if I've ever seen a Star Wars start to finish. I just know the name Princess Leia, and that's literally where it ends. But anyway, so there's no air conditioning. There's no room for fans because of his Star Wars museum. And we sit down, and my mom's here, so I do apologize, Pauline. But again, you and Dad were in Indianapolis, and I needed to move. And I can't lift that much crap. So start making out a little bit, and I'm like sweating, and I'm like, oh God, this is not what I want, but you know, this is fine, whatever. And every woman who has been on a date with a man knows, like, sometimes you're just there, and you're just like, okay, let's just go home, come on, I'm never going to do this, it's fine. So I'm kind of in that phase, and I am, like, the sweat is getting worse, and I'm kind of, like, trying to just be like, tell me about Star Wars. Like, and he like moves to pick me up, like, in what he thinks, I think, is a very sexy way, you know, like 6'7" guard. He's like, I do this all the time with Princess Leia's, it's fine. And he got kind of under my shirt, and I slipped and fell first onto the couch and on the ground, but I knocked over one of his little models. And it was a Lego model. So it kind of broke, but I was like, oh good, you get to build it again. Long story short, he did not help me move. And I made out with him for no reason at all. But it was very sweaty. I still have not seen Star Wars.
That was a good one. Now here you have a story. Can I just hand you the mic, or do you want to stand up?
Well, I can stand up.
All right.
I don't really have a story that's kind of made up.
How will we know? Unless your nose grows. Okay, come on.
If it goes, you tell me.
Okay.
That's almost close enough. Okay, I'm on the short type.
Tell us your name.
Yeah, I will, in a sec. My name is Peg.
And I did not come down here thinking I was going to do this. But here I am. Talk about sweat. Oh. Okay, I want to tell you first that there are different kinds of sweat. We're not just talking the glow, and there's lots of different kinds. You know, you start with the sheen, and the dew, and the drip, and the really sweaty. And then there's the shower. I've experienced most of these during a Gilbert and Sullivan production. Everybody know what Gilbert and Sullivan are?
Yes.
All right. Well, luckily, it's comedy. So, okay, Gilbert and Sullivan. You gotta start with the sheen. That's when you're reading the script. And you realize suddenly that you have to act with a person who hates your guts. Okay, fine. I'll just get your guts back. Don't do this to me. All right. So, and you just, a little bit of sheen. Okay. Then we gotta have the dew. And that means it's starting to get wet. I mean, really get wet, but little bubbles on your skin of dew. And that's when you're getting ready to go out and sing a song, and the person you're supposed to sing it with ain't there. There's somewhere like off stage. So you start singing, hoping that it'll come out. Nope. You just have this little. Okay. All right. Then we go into starting to be sweatish. So that happens when we're about ready to open the show. We're ready to open the show, and all of a sudden you can't breathe because you're sweating so bad. And you start wiping up, can't get your costume on, can't get your costume off. What do I do? Help! Somebody help me! And everybody else is either on stage or, backstage doing their thing. So you throw something on and hope it's the right costume and it fits. Then you go out and go, well, even if it's not right in Gilbert and Sullivan, it'll make them laugh, right? That's what it's for. Okay. Now we're getting to the really sweaty stuff. And that's when you're out there doing this dance. And nobody knows it but you. I've taught it 15 times. They still don't know it. You still do it. You keep doing it. You keep dancing across the floor. And you're skating. Because there's so much water on the floor from the sweat. I think that wasn't supposed to happen. Luckily the song's a good one. So you just keep singing the song. And then you got the shower. And that happens during the love song, of course. Okay. And you're doing that, and you're out there in the scene. It's supposed to be so beautiful. Everybody's supposed to be, so in love. And the song is about, how much you love the other guy. And you're standing there holding him, and he's dripping bullets of sweat down your face and down the rest of you. And you're going, I asked for this. I love you too.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? We don't have nowhere to go. It's cool in here, air conditioned, it's hot out there.
I'm staying. I have enough of that.
Well, I guess I should do a drawing now. This drawing is for 2 tickets to Ghost Stories. October 15th at Washington Park East. And Samantha, I think you should draw. So it won't be rigged, you know what I'm saying? Because I can see all my friends' names. I tried to fold them all up, but
They just let you know, trust me. All right.
ooh. Debbie. Is it Gullery? Come on. You got 1 ticket. We'll make sure you get it. Listen, our next session same place, same station, same time, except it's August 17th, and the topic is toast. I'm going to bring as many different kinds of toast as I can. Okay. And we would like for you guys to come up so we can take your pictures, so we can record this event. Plus, I have one of my former Indian Creek students here, and I got to get a picture with you too, okay? Congratulations to our third place winner, Noel Bewley. Our second place winner, Anna. And our first place winner, Jen. Come on up. If you come up, we'll take your picture. We'll prove you. We'll show the world your talent.